Well, the next thing I have to show you is going to make you want to do very bad things.
Oh, yay.
So my feed decided to start spitting me out things. Usually my feed is pretty good, my YouTube feed. It's like it'll feed drip me like things that I'm used to watching. Had a complete jump scare. I had Mike Hosking just randomly turn up in my feed, and I was like, "Oh God, a video from Mike Hosking." I didn't ask for this. But he had some really really well thought mansplaining opinions from a man who probably gets paid way too much to do his job, and thinks that his job is worth more than
Mike Hosking just thinks that he himself is worth more than anything else. I just don't understand why he's still a thing.
Old people like him. I don't know. But he had some absolutely wise words to say about this whole thing, which I was able to debunk very, very easily. And this kicks off a great rant. So buckle in. Buckle in for the joyride. I'm gonna refresh this so that I can actually. Did you say buckle your shit?
No, I said 1, 2, buckle your shoe, and then 3, 4, Lux and back door. That's where I was going.
That's a new one. So the first thing here that Hosking would like you to know is that pay parity hasn't worked. It's already gone through and it hasn't worked. So
okay, because he's the fucking expert, I guess.
So it doesn't really matter that they've scrapped it.
The Bartlett issue was twofold. One, part of the argument was if you pay people more, it would make recruiting more easy or more easily able to recruit people. Turns out that's wrong. After huge pay rises, rest home gaps are still a disaster. Then two, the bill to reach this so-called equity was $2 billion. A lot of money then, a lot of money now.
Oh no, it was $2 billion, you poor soul.
What if it was 2.9? Would that have been all right? Is 2.9 an acceptable number?
But $2 billion apparently isn't acceptable to pay people over 33 different not sectors, but different entities essentially. Areas of society which are mostly dominated by women. 33. $2 billion would be nice to give to women. $2 billion is fuck all in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. I mean, they like to say, "Oh, that's so much money," but I mean, given how much goes in different areas, like that's a drop on the bucket for them.
But his other claim there was that pay parity hasn't worked. Because we don't have enough people and we haven't filled the roles that are in the gaps that are there. I would like to illustrate to you that there are other reasons that those roles can't be filled.
Mm-hmm.
The quickest one to go with is the scrapping of the budgets of aged care in New Zealand.
Yep.
Healthcare New Zealand has instructed Health Minister Shane Reddy to save 200,000 hospital beds a year, and to hospital bed nights a year, and to do that, they need people to stay out of hospital in residential care. Basically, what they're saying is they're defunding or underfunding or getting rid of some of the funding for that particular part of the sector. If rest home level care was completely scrapped and seniors were expected to stay at home for longer, an extra 8,000 care and support workers would be needed. However, there was also a proposal to cut lower level in-home support, such as those for those who were unsteady on their feet and needed help with food preparation, shopping, and housework. The things that support workers do for people who are in elderly situations that need in-home support. So if you cut the funding, they can't employ people.
Crazy that.
Even though the sector is now being paid perhaps more fairly. Not quite there, but more fairly than they were.
And I mean, someone in the comments has also pointed out that it's about equity, not parity. So even discussing that, I've noticed there's been a couple of places that have kind of either used, I think it's equity, or instead of equity, like they're interchanging and using slightly different words to talk about the same subject, which in of itself is already flawed.
Yes, I apologize. If it's pay, it is pay equity, really. But
No, no, it is. Well, no, he said parity, so that's why he's wrong. You're not wrong. You're fine.
So that might have something to do with what's going on here. The other part that I have here as well is I have grave concerns. If they're going to lift the barrier to access care and raise it to hospital level care and keep people at home, that's well and good, but only as long as the homes and community sector is supported to provide care for those individuals who are not able to access residential care, which means you have to fund the sector. So they probably can fill those 8,000 roles that they need. They're just not going to fund the 8,000 roles that the sector needs. So this bullshit claim that paying aged care workers more hasn't resulted in more care workers is bullshit. You can pay them more because the government has said we need to pay them more, but you can't fill gaps that they're not going to fund or allow.
And they're also destroying a lot of the education sector in terms of tertiary education. So if we're not actually encouraging people to go through those steps to then be, you have to do like qualifications to get into these things. You have to pay a lot of money onto your student loan to get into these places. So if we're not supporting that from the foundation, then everything's just going to keep falling apart. Like, I remember they used to do big drives to push people into teaching. I remember there just being this ad that used to come on all the time on TV, mostly because it got annoying after a while, and they were just really trying to push people, being like, come study as a teacher, we'll pay all these extra things. And, it did fix things for a while. And then they stopped supporting the teachers, and then people stopped staying or going in there to begin with. And I know, snowball effect. Like, it happens in so many sectors.
Sure does, which we'll get to in a second. So, on the aged care workers or the resident, what do you call it? At home rest homes. There was something I was watching. I think it was like a How Money Works, which is a US-based thing, and they were talking about the privatization of rest homes. And one of the things that they talked about, because in the US, the private sector pretty much runs like a decent chunk of rest homes over there. And what they do is, because they're private, they're for profit. So these are for profit companies that need to make a profit. A rest home is not too dissimilar to a hospital, in which hospitals don't make money, they serve the people, right? So if they're a for-profit entity, rest home, they have to make money. And the way that they make money is they skimp off the top, and they keep skimping and skimping because shareholders expect more and more and more and more and more, which is really hard to do with a service-based product. It's service. It's a service for the people. It doesn't really pay.
You're turning the care of the elderly into something that is for profit, which is inherently disgusting. But I mean, that's kind of, again, why capitalism sucks, because it kind of forces all these things to just be about making continually increasing profit. Like, that's not sustainable.
No, and some really interesting stuff. So I was looking into it. I was like, I wonder if that's the same here, because I know we have a slightly different system to the things. And I was trying to bring it back. Something I did find, which is on the conversation, was talking about Australia specifically, and looking at a similar thing here, but actually the research here was quite interesting. So profits increase when costs are kept down. For-profit providers have to deliver returns for their shareholders, which leaves less money to reinvest in services compared with not-for-profit and government services. Pressure to increase efficiency reduces quality through cost cutting. This includes reducing staffing levels. You can't put more people in jobs if you cut the staffing levels to make more profit. Lower wages and reduce spending on food and other living items for residents. These pressures are there for all aged care providers, but they are greater when profits have to be maintained. Cutting staffing costs. Staffing costs make up 70% of residential care operating expenses. There you go. Cut those. Even 70%. There you go. Well, not 70%, but cutting off the 70%. Providers reduce staffing costs through the management of staffing ratios and the use of less costly, unskilled labor. This includes spreading activities such as showering and meals over longer periods, limiting the time scheduled for individual support, and increasing the size of resident groups supported by individuals and staff members. The result has been residential care staff are poorly paid, and it's hard to attract and retain them. By international standards, more than half of aged care residents live in facilities with unacceptable levels of staffing. These pressures are greater among for-profit providers. Fascinating.
Well, I mean,
So,
also, you got to
there
point
are
out
multiple layers there.
they are probably only staying because they have a fucking heart or they're that desperate. That's the other part too, is that those people who are staying, it's like the same with teaching. Again, we go back to teaching. A lot of the people who are in teaching at the moment, they stay because they believe in teaching kids and trying to, help create the people of the future. It's just fucked.
Well, great you mentioned that.
Cool segue. I love it.
Perfect segue. So because these sectors are full of people which tend to be dominated by women, because these people love their jobs, they go into it for the love of it. So paying them more is actually not a necessity because they don't actually choose the job for the pay. They choose it because they love it, according to Mike Hosking.
So we'll keep paying them.
Pretty much.
The trouble with the Bartlett issue was twofold. One, part of the argument was if you pay people more, it would make recruiting more easy or more easily able to recruit people. Turns out that's wrong. After huge pay rises, rest home gaps are still a disaster. Then two, the bill to reach this so-called equity.
We've already talked about that.
It was $2 billion. A lot of money then, a lot of money now. I wish Van Velden all the...
No, it's a wrong clip. You bastard.
You tend to strike.
No. Telling me I get to be mad at him again for a third time?
Again.
Damn.
Dare you? Why did you do that to me? That was the right clip.
Hoskings on a Friday night is rough. Rough.
Work is worth what work is worth.
Here we go.
No matter who does it. Some work pays more than other work. It's based on demand or skills or sales or revenue or scarcity or a combination of. Given no one makes anyone work in any given area, you strike extraordinary complexity in trying to gerrymander it. If it turns out to attract women or men over women, it also singles out just one element of work, money, and as being sort of the sole reason for work. And it's not. What we have...
Well, you got one part of that right. You got a very, very small part of that right. Oh, this is going to make you mad.
He's so dumb.
He's not wrong. The sole reason people go into certain sectors is not money. However, the reason people stay in sectors can often be because of money.
Mm-hmm.
This does not take too much to go from one to the other. Mike Hosking, have you heard of a country called Australia?
I mean...
Would you like to know which parts of a society are moving to Australia? They're government-paid workers.
Mm-hmm.
Police is our first example. To stop New Zealand police from crossing the ditch, frontline officers needed a pay rise and to be paid overtime and an improvement in their resources, he said. We want to stay here. We want to stay here. We really do love this country and we love doing the police work here. He got it right. You do it for the love. But police officers with so many years of experience and rapport are leaving because they have no choice. Another police officer who didn't want to be named said frontline officers were underpaid and undervalued in New Zealand. Why do you think so many cops have jumped ship and gone to Aussie?
Mm-hmm.
Because they get extra pay.
It's also
so you can't you might go into the job because you love it. You might stay in the job for a certain amount of time because you love it. But if someone is going to give you, I believe it was $80,000 to cross the ditch and start somewhere else, which is Not an easy decision to make.
Oh,
But people have made that because they can't afford to live here. For example, many police had voted for a change in government to improve working conditions, he said, which is kind of sad because they're getting fucked over by this government. Everyone is feeling the pressure. You've got constables who are having to go to food banks. That's obviously a desperate situation, but that's not. But that's what it's coming to. The officer and his partner, who works in the public sector, regularly struggle to make ends meet. We live fortnight to fortnight because we can't put money aside. Because one of the salaries that covers our mortgage, the other one covers all the bills and food, and then we literally got nothing left.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fucked. Like, we're also having a lot of our teachers go over there because, again, the beginning of, like, I think it was like the end of last year, I was getting, again, so many ads being like, come move to, I think it might have been New South Wales or something like that. Come be a teacher. We will pay you. Honestly, I think it was like about 50 to 80 grand, something like that. And yeah, I know a lot of our nurses, because obviously everything going on with the hospitals, our nurses and doctors, just go in Australia, because why wouldn't you? You're not appreciated here, and you have to literally fight so hard just to be like, hey, I deserve the bare minimum. Like, it's pretty disgusting when we sit there and he goes, yep, sweet as, we're just going to give 2.9 billion to this landlord and this money to fucking tobacco lobbying, and we're going to bring back fucking pseudoephedrine and a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's bullshit. But it also means that if we can get them out next time, Labour will have no fucking excuse not to go hard. I know they're trying to play this little like, oh, nah, we're not going to reverse everything. But you know what? If it sucks, you should. Because at the end of the day, it's bullshit. Like, we shouldn't be having these issues. I mean, a lot of the issues with understaffing, if we had maybe like a universal basic income, that could be something that could help enable people to, I don't know, actually go into different areas, because they're like, oh, I can maybe go to uni and not worry about literally not being able to afford to live and all these types of things. We could have more educated population, which automatically you have so much return on investment. An educated population can make quite a lot more money. But an uneducated population can get taken advantage of and continuously get pushed further down and down. Like, that's what they want.
They're easier to manipulate too, and they have sorry, this is my opinion. They are easier to get manipulated and tend to have worser. I mean, there you go. Critical thinking skills as well. So
that's proven.
How easy it is to manipulate them, right?
Yeah, like the more a person is basically focused on survival, the less they have, obviously, cognitively to put towards critical thinking, but also just, it takes a lot to get out of certain situations. And if you don't have the support systems or the knowledge or skill set, like, that is really hard to get around. And if we actually had things in place that, places like in Scandinavia that rate as the top, and every year they rate as the happiest, and often they're doing quite well economically. And yeah, it's just, there's no excuse for things not to change once these fuckers are gone, because it needs to.
The other one I wanted to show you, which is pretty obvious and that we've heard about a lot, is our nurses moving to Australia. So the first part of this article as well was talking about how over in Australia they had been New South Wales Nurses and Midwives Association Assistant General Secretary Michael Waits. See, nurses are not feeling valued, and they are seeing the amounts of work they have to do on a regular basis, with the acuity of patients they're looking after increasing regularly. So this is talking about why they petitioned, or they were rallying for pay increases and things like that.
Yeah.
However, they eventually got there. It was a pretty good pay rise. Victoria's nurses recently voted for a 28.4% pay rise over 4 years, avoiding strike action. And then New South Wales also put forward pressure on the government for a pay increase of about 15%. So here's the contrast to New Zealand. So in contrast, New Zealand nurses negotiated a pay deal that included a salary increase of $4,000, an additional flat rate increase of $1,000 for all designated senior nurses, nurse practitioners, and designated senior midwives, and a further increase of $2,000 or 3%. 3%. 24, 28%, 15%, 3%. Okay. While it was seen as historic gender equity settlement, it was still far less than the Australian counterparts, who also get almost $20,000 more in some states just for relocation.
Yikes.
Just here's 20K. Why wouldn't nurses and midwives from New Zealand come to Australia for higher wages and better conditions? As New Zealand grapples with its exodus, the economic downturn is also leading to job losses, with unemployment expected to hit 5% by the end of the year. Meanwhile, Australia continues to benefit from the skills and expertise of migrating Kiwis, averaging around 2,000 more every month. That was from... When did that come out? July 17th, 2024. That was last year.
Yep.
Still relevant to this day.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing that fucks me off, because whereas this government especially, but there's also been other governments who haven't done right either, are essentially saying, if you have the means to stay in this country and not take that higher paying job, you should, because you're a good person, do it for everyone else, rather than, oh, we should actually pay you to stay here. Or if you can't leave at all, then you can just, I don't know, keep getting fucked. Because again,
this also assumes that you can just upend your life, which not a lot of people can. That's why they were incentivizing with those. Someone would say that 80K Australian is not that much. 80K to relocate your entire household to Australia is a decent amount of money to incentivize people. That's
absolutely.
a decent chunk. If that's cash in hand, that's a lot of money to set up your life.
Absolutely.
There was a story of a teacher that came from Australia who was, I think she was an ex-celebrity, or she'd been on like a reality TV show, and she's like, I just want a fresh start. She came to New Zealand with about $5,000, and she thought that when she got here, because she's got I think it was even a double master's degree or something ridiculous, really, really highly skilled, 10 years of teaching experience. She got here and she got put on the lowest of the scale. And she had to get all of these stupid documents from Australia that were signed. She had all her paperwork, but apparently it wasn't signed by two people. I don't know. There was all this bullshit bureaucracy that she had to go through. She only came with $5,000, and she said that by the time she had paid her bond, she got herself a car. And I think I don't think she had a job before she got here. I think she was looking for one as soon as she got here. I could be wrong there, but she was pretty much out of money.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say 5K is not a lot in New Zealand, at all.
No, that's bugger all.
And especially because my brother moved to Australia, and even their Kmart's cheaper, so they get paid better wages, and their Kmart items are cheaper. That's bullshit.
So there you go, Mike Hosking. There's a couple of things just to think about there, because maybe money does have some benefits to it. Maybe money does move people to Australia.
He should know. Look at him. Why the fuck is he still doing that job? It's not because he's happy with his life and ready to retire. Bro probably wants to get more bag. It's kind of...
He's probably got enough that he could, but clearly he wants more.
It's just gross to see someone like Mike Hoskins, who really has no fucking leg to stand on. And honestly, I still, again, do not understand how he has a career other than, I guess, right-wing old people. But, it's insane that he probably gets paid more than our teachers. That man's getting paid more than our teachers. Probably even our nurses.
It's not even maybe. It's definitely he gets far more money than our teachers.
Yeah. And it's bullshit. And he should just shut the fuck up and go away and stop existing. That'd be cool.
There's some people in the chat trying to recruit to Aussie, which I love.
We do have quite a few Australian viewers as well.
I'm not saying You're right. It's
Right?
definitely got some merit. The third thing that I want to point out to you guys as well is there was something that was it's not really part of the conversation necessarily on the government side or on the I don't know, the for and against side. But something that was echoed by the workers themselves was talking, especially the support care workers, is that because they're so underpaid, that they're having to work ridiculously long hours. And even nurses and doctors are saying that I think Gary Pender was even saying that as well, is that they were picking up more and more shifts because they didn't have enough staff to begin with, but also some of them needed the extra money to get through. Or maybe, yeah. One of the things that comes with that, and Gary was also saying this, burnout is quite common, and
Mhm.
I have some studies to show you.
Yep.
This is from the UK, so take it with a grain of salt, but it echoes a lot of other things that I'm seeing here as well. This was 2017, by the way, guys. Healthcare and service sectors report highest levels of pressure in study. Employees earning less than £20,000 per year are at the greatest risk of burning out at work, according to a new survey of more than 1,100 professionals. The study found that 92% was probably a survey, sorry. 92% of those in the lowest wage bracket had experienced burnout, which it suggested could be due to working longer hours in poorer conditions to make ends meet. By contrast, 72% of those earning 20 to 40,000 pounds, and 2/3 of those on 40 to 60,000 pounds had burnt out. The highest earners taking home more than 100,000 pounds were the least likely to experience burnout in the course of their careers at 53%. Still quite high, 53%.
Mm.
Now, if we bring that back home, highest burnout rates, clerical workers, 87.9%, educational professionals, 86.6%, office managers, 70.7%, health professionals, 63.5%.
Mhm.
Those are high numbers.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you pointed out that it's 2017 from the UK, but I would argue that actually gives it more credence given we're just at the further stage back with the Tory government just coming in, starting to fucking bulldoze shit. I mean, we know that the NHS and the Tory government is the future we would have if we stay with this fucking coalition. So, I mean, I'm not surprised at all that the data is reflected in what we're seeing here. It's
May
sad but
2024.
unsurprising.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
this article is May 2024. These numbers are May 2024. And then also they were saying the lowest, but they're still very high, which I would agree
Mm.
these are pretty high stats. Business professionals at 22%. But look at the difference between us. Business
Oh, yeah.
professionals 22, salespeople 23, office support workers 23, information and communication technology professions 25. Those
Mhm.
are tiny compared to these numbers. They're almost
Absolutely.
the opposite of these numbers. The opposite.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the data reflected in the research that you're saying as well. Like, it exactly mirrors that. I mean, it makes sense that we also have very high levels due to our, mental health, suicide, alcohol issues in this country. So I'm not wildly surprised, but it is, yeah, it makes sense when you're not allowing people to feel supported. Like, because I imagine a lot of what leads to some of the burnout in these areas is that a lot of them are working so many hours. When do they get to sleep? Sleep is crucial for every human being and probably animals too. But if you're not sleeping well, if you're not able to feed yourself well, a lot of those people are saying, I'm earning 80, like my husband's a bloody police officer and we can only just afford the bare like basics. If you're not eating well, that's going to affect how your productivity's output's going. It's going to lead you closer to burnout a lot faster. Like, there's so many different factors that affect all of these, which is why we need to have, things like that are just a more wraparound service. Like, we shouldn't just be having workplaces that can run you into the ground. We should have services available to help people, and also education. That's where like the sexual, health and sexual education in school. Some of those fundamentals can be taught in primary school and all the way through education. If we give people the information, they can use those tools to better themselves.
The only other thing that I wanted to echo from this as well was the job insecurity part of this as well. So this is May 2024, so this was around the time when the public service sector was getting absolutely fucked by the government. That's how we ended up with 10% unemployment in Wellington, was it? 11% maybe? The dead cities, which I think that's still coming.
I mean,
so those who perceive their jobs as most under threat have increased from 22% in December to 48.4%. Those in the high job insecurity group were 14.5% times more likely to be in the burnout risk group. The workforce is feeling massive strain due to the fear of job losses, leading to incredibly high levels of job burnout. Pretty bad. And there was something else that I had in one of the articles, and I haven't got it here as well, but it was talking about how not being able to pay you. I mean, that was echoed through what the police were saying as well, but financial insecurity as well was a big reason that people were burning out as well. It was one of the big things. So this whole bullshit of you get paid what you paid, the society determines how much you should get paid is absolute bullshit, and it shouldn't be the reason that we don't pay people more. I think that's a pretty fucking useless excuse to not pay people.
I don't even think it's an excuse. It's a dog whistle, because what he's trying to imply is that if you don't get paid enough, you're not skilled enough. You are lesser than. It's not even like it's like that's when you start having moral gradings being put against things. What deems one job so much better than that job, you know? Why the fuck do we pay celebrities millions of dollars to be in a movie, but we don't pay nurses and doctors and people we actually need really badly? Like, don't get me wrong, we need art as well, but we really need them to be able to fix you if that celebrity gets broken. Like, it's definitely a dog whistle, and it's very, just leaves a bit of a gross taste with the way he said all of that. Yeah.
But I'm glad that it somehow came across my feed, because now you have some stats to take away with you. You're welcome.
And if we're still talking about Australia, before we finish, I actually had an article that I found a little while ago, and I thought it was really interesting because I was like, oh my God, I actually think maybe we should take some influence from Australia for once. New South Wales to ban acute hospitals from public-private partnerships. So, yeah, the Labor government is announcing sweeping legislation that will ban all future public-private partnerships being imposed on the state's acute hospitals. Legislation will protect hospitals which provide services such as emergency, surgical, and inpatient service from any future government entering into such partnerships which limit public control over hospital services. And it'll, prevent governments from entering into Northern Beaches style arrangements to build or operate an acute public hospital. And they obviously have, they looked into it. It makes sense. Trying to, having this be something that can be privatized is dangerous. It's not good for us overall. And I'm just shocked. I'm like, okay, can we do this? Greens, Labor, Te Pāti Māori, one of you announce this bill, put it in the biscuit tin. You know what I'm saying?
It shouldn't be in the biscuit tin. That should be
it shouldn't have to be in the biscuit tin, but I don't care how.
That's all they got.
Yeah. I just need it to happen. And I mean, in COVID, Australia was so jealous of us with old Auntie Cindy and all of our awesome stuff that was going on. And now I'm just looking at Australia like, I wouldn't move there because it's too hot and I would die. But it does seem appealing. It does seem appealing. Although they still have some other things, issues as well. But yeah, I just thought that was just an example to not only the government we have, but the government that we hopefully have next term.